Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect podcast. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Terry Chorniy, the Vice President and Partner at RAM International. Terry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, we're looking forward to the discussion today. So why don't we kick things off by you telling us a little bit more about yourself and your background, and then we'd love to hear more about what you're doing at RAM and who your typical customers are.
Sure. My journey actually started not in logistics, but in finance. And ironically, we ran an algo hedge fund for currency trading. Algorithms and bots and systems is something that we are very familiar with. I entered the journey of logistics probably 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, maybe less. The company initially was vertically integrated for e-commerce operations. However, we decided to, given the circumstances and global dynamics, to spin it off as an independent, given the infrastructure that already has in place. And that took us in various segments. For example, in the air, we pretty much can move anything in and out of the United States. When it comes to ocean, we expanded our reach globally, not just in Northern Europe, but also Asia and Africa and some of the South Africa. We also put a big emphasis on car shipments. We've been doing them a little bit, but now we're moving a lot more. We have our vertical integration for the auctions in the United States, giving access to people, and we pretty much can move the cars by air, by sea, which air is a lot of fun, by the way, when we get caught. It's a lot of interesting situations. At the same time, given our infrastructure, we decided to expand it to, as we have the export processing center in Delaware, which is focused mostly on e-commerce and was outbound. But we also now created a fulfillment side to it that can receive the two sides, inbound and outbound, and extended our fleet. So we're growing in multiple directions. So it's been quite a journey.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to dive into a bit more about the growth journey a little later on. But that's exactly the scope that we like for our guests today. So I'm looking forward to our discussion. We tend to start things off by having a bit of a kind of finger on the pulse about what's going on more broadly. And I read in your excellent newsletter recently about the sort of what's happening in terms of the geopolitical shocks hitting the supply chain. What are you seeing right now in terms of the biggest challenges for your clients, and where are the opportunities in that?
Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty on multiple sides of the pond, so to speak. But that also creates opportunities because it gives space for new companies, new players, new ideas to fill the gap, fill the need. Right now, we're actively looking at various solutions that are not linear, and that allows us to capture the attention of some customers and their staff, considering what they're looking for as a solution. It's not just about, as many people think, it's just directional. Sometimes takes multiple combinations to get to the end point, which makes it very interesting. This is something that we do enjoy. The more complex it is, most of my team, I was hiring them. The only thing they were asking was like, can this be not boring? I said, I will do my best.
Well, I think from the conversations we've been having, and certainly the last 12 months, boring is the last thing anyone has ever mentioned. Certainly navigating the speed of change, and I think one of the things that has been part of that has been the uncertainty with tariffs. Again, that was in your newsletter. And how do you think that's reshaping freight forwarding, particularly on the ground right now?
I think a lot of this is a scare tactic and fears. I mean, look, even with the D- rule, 800, right, that we had in the States, yeah, that disappeared. But now you have TLO, almost the same thing. There is just a little bit of variation. So you need to just get adopted, accustomed to it, and things go as usual as before. Like a lot of stuff from Asia right now, it was a hold. There was a lot of fear, but now it's back to regular business as usual. For the most part, the ones that actually feel the most pain are the end consumers, because it all goes on them. Just the reality. Things don't stop. They get put on hold, but in the end, they still get these people. It's human nature to find solutions, especially if you're moving a lot, you're not going to stop. So I have to say that a lot of importers are very creative, and there's a lot of demand for the products and services from the outside. So people on the United States side are also looking to accommodate that. So politics aside, trade is trade. I think as one disappears, the other one opens. But the reality is things move as they did before. there's a demand, there's always going to be the supply.
Right. And I think that leads into how you position RAM and in terms of having that resilient, adaptable supply chains. How do you balance being the need for flexibility with the operational complexity that comes with that diversification piece?
And this is where the problems come. It's one thing you have one. In the past, we had one line, right? Econ. Polished it to be spotless, right? It goes on time all the time. There's no issues. Everything was worked out. The more lines you add, the more complexities it can add to it. And we've been looking for certain systems, certain processes. It just takes time to polish out the processes. There's no ideal system to take care of all lines of service and business that you have. You always try to balance it out between mixing and matching. And it's like when it comes to technology, right? You can buy something off the shelf and chances are it's not going to fulfill your needs. You can build something yourself, which is going to be super expensive, takes a lot of time to build it, or you can do a hybrid version. You can buy something, build something, and find the balance in between to give you the result you're seeking. So this is what we are actually working on right now. Part of that, we're also looking into some of the AI tools. But what I've seen in AI space right now, that a lot of freight forwarders are having very similar issues. Basic stuff, boats, super time consuming. There's a lot of them. You get like 10, 20% winning rate for the most part because you're dealing with all parts of the world. Everybody has different price models. But on the staff, it's very time consuming. You do have some of these AI models that supposedly are working, but they're not really fulfilling the needs. And then when you're looking for solution, you have something that gets you there halfway or like 80%, but it's not there yet. So a lot of times people choose to go and invest in it. And here's the caveat. What happened, the speed of progress that is being undertaken in the AI space, sometimes you just need to wait because you have big companies which are, their line of business is only producing those solutions. You can either spend money on that today, and in a year, by the time you get your solution, that one company will produce the same solution. It will be on sale for $20 a month. So sometimes you just have to wait out for that solution to come, given the speed at which it's moving. And I've seen a lot of solutions right now, even for the quoting that they have. It's getting more and they're getting better and better and better. So if I would have ventured into building something like that a year ago, when I was thinking about it, year and a half ago, I would have paid a huge price and I would probably have competitors right now almost with the same product. So a lot of these solutions that right now I'm being forced to consider as to what we need to implement to uh, work on the progress, the processes, and so forth. I'm right now observing because those solutions right around the corner. And I think just being vigilant and being, so to speak, keeping a hand on the pulse is going to get there faster than just rushing for something that's going to be very relevant and the price you're going to have to pay. So it's just cost benefit, basic stuff about these things. But like I said, we are very diversified in our lines of business. That's what makes it very complicated for us. If it's a simple, straightforwarding, freight forwarding, it's simpler. Let's say you just do ocean, it's a much simpler solution because they already exist. If you do just air, it's a little bit more complex, but it's also exists. So like I said, right now we're just giving it a few months. We're observing.
Yes, I think that sounds very wise approach to take because of the speed of change. But is there any? I mean, you touched on some of the manual processes like quoting, like customs documentation. Is there anything where you think AI can have a more immediate impact particularly in freight forwarding?
Yeah, definitely. It's already having immediate impacts. It's you can build the process streams. You can build it with ChatGPT and other systems. Just to even correspondence with a client can already be automated. Not the most effective, but it can get you very close to it. There is a lot of ways how you can do that. But even if you look at, for example, we use HubSpot. They're really moving fast regarding their solutions because they know they're going to be behind the eight ball if they lose the momentum. So it's also knowing that they're doing this and their communication keeps on improving makes me look at it the other side and say, okay, so they are improving already what's working. How much better do I need to improve on the processes side? I'm not trying to give the marketing to all the companies about the AI and the tools, but the bottom line is that we are working right now on first with AI on communication. Communication, some of the document processes are there, but the thing is, even we might make 20 steps forward and become the most IT AI freight forwarder there. Our problem is going to be the operators, the ocean operators, the airlines. They're not rushing. And if they are, they're moving very slow in comparison. So there's so much progress you can do because of your dependencies with your counterparts. And not going to get into all the nuances of that situation, but not everybody wants to play ball. In this industry, everybody's keeping a lot of things close to the chest, which if you want to talk about true automation and transparency, you have to be open. But as business, and you have to take what's given, so to speak, and make the best of it.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting positioning at the moment, balancing the sort of commercial need to be competitive and also, I guess, a really big, important part. I mean, it's a very much a relationship driven business. And I guess there's a balance between bringing in new automation and keeping that personal touch in logistics. How do you, I mean, you clearly are very much thinking about that approach, that looking at new technology whilst keeping, looking after your own team and also your customers, importantly.
So there's one shipping line that in my conversation with them they actually share with me some of their views. So they have a few tiers, clients, and the ones that give them the most business and the most stable, they have a person assigned, but it's a big number. The next tier for them is basically the ones that's in between. They cannot reach that level, but they still get that kind of a mediocre human service. And the ones that are ad hoc, they just keep it completely digital. And the reason why they do that is actually quite, I think, is beneficial for the company long term. Because what they do is they have a steady growth pattern. They don't have these spikes with ad hocs, all of these kind of randomness that happens in shipping, but they have a steady growth. They can predict, they can plan, they can invest better. So I think in the end, this is the kind of model that will be used and applied by many. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but for me, it sounds very logical because you cannot lose the personal touch with clients. Okay, that's how many companies have went digital and they thought they're gonna take over the world. But in the end of the day, if the client has a fear, he's scared, he's excited, whatever emotion he might be experiencing, AI cannot comment down the right way. He needs a human being to have a conversation. So I think that's still the foundation of a lot of freight forwarding and the client relation.
And I think that's echoed in your proposition as the business, right? Which is a focus on quality rather than quantity. And you talked about, again, some of those qualities before when we were talking about resilience and adaptability. Over the course of RAM's sort of growth, are there any milestones that you can point to that you would highlight as being sort of pivotal in your own growth journey?
Well, I think we have solidified the structure to support multiple service lines. That's a big factor that kind of removes some of the chaos that has been initial. Then I believe getting the right personnel is critical for any operation. In logistics, we talk about solutions, but that's quite a faux pas many times, given the majority is just chasing rates and prices. So when you do come to generating a solution, you need people who are independent thinkers, who have experience and know-how to approach the situation, create a solution, and execute. Because creating a solution is one thing, but execution is the big part of it. So having the right people, I think, was the biggest challenge, and I think we have succeeded. Now we're looking at scaling those lines of businesses and expanding further. Now we're also looking abroad, nationally, in some of the branches that we are opening in the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Canada. Those are the ones that we are currently looking to operate to support those lines. And I think truly becoming international is one of the milestones this year that we have achieved by opening those branches and setting the right teams, building, helping, and growing it.
Fantastic. And in that context, I mean, what do you think, Terry, is going to be the most disruptive trend within the sort of freight forwarding space in the next sort of 2 to 3 years?
I think we're going to have, despite me talking about relationships, I think technology is going to be a big factor because it's forcing everybody to automate, regardless of how you look at that. You can't compete without automation nowadays. The labor force, by and large, will be reduced because a lot of functions will be taken by the technologies and processes that are now available. So I think that is going to affect, I think there's going to be whoever doesn't catch up to the train, get on it, so to speak, they will miss out. Now, let's say in the United States, we cannot compete with labor pricing that you get like out of Asia, Vietnam, China, or any other country. We just can't. They're working hours of 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. We can't compete with that. So in order for us to compete here on the Western side, we need to automate it, to run it. Not soon thereafter, will the other country, okay? And it's going to be a technology race, more efficient. So that's like my view on things. It will take time, but you see changes already slowly creeping up, and AI is getting better and faster and faster. Because I was talking to a few of my colleagues who actually are within that space, and it's getting harder and harder for them to compete with the new things that are coming out, with the new models that are coming daily. They're coming up one after another, one after another one. So it's hard for you to grasp everything. I think that speed resembles the one that we had in early 2000, and technology was getting so fast we couldn't keep up, and then get better and faster. Same thing is happening now. I think that down the line is going to help us a lot. We just have to use it properly and apply it properly.
Yeah, fascinating. And it brings a whole different intrigue in terms of how that landscape is going to shift with harnessing technology to level the playing field as we're and create those advantages. But well, that also leads us on to what is the last question, Terry, which is about, of course, about AI. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is no confidence and 10 is total confidence, how confident are you that AI is going to create measurable value for RAM in the next 12 months, in the shorter term, and then looking a bit further down the line in 5 years from now?
I think definitely 8 to 9. It will. 5 years from now, it's hard to say, but I think it's gonna stay close to 8 to 9 too, because from my perspective, it is something that I'm focused on, something that I want to further grow and apply. I will be looking for proper solutions on that side. So it will impact us, hopefully in a positive way.
Absolutely. We're certainly behind you on that one. But many thanks for that. It's been fantastically interesting and insightful conversation. We covered a lot of ground in a short space of time, and given our audience lots of food for thought as well. So if for the folks out there watching, what's the best way to get in touch with you and RAM? What's your socials? What's the best way to do that?
We are placed on all social media platforms. I can be reached by, I think you can share my email later on, the general number. I think we can add that to the podcast, but at the same time, LinkedIn is good. Email is good. It's probably the best. And yeah, we take it from there.
Brilliant. We will, of course, put all of your details in the description of the podcast. And thanks again for joining today. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next edition of the AI Ripple Effect. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jonny.